Well, hello to all my movie lovers out there, Sundance attendees, and you girls, gays, and theys. My name is EJ, and welcome to this channel. We have quite the video ahead of you. This movie just had its world premiere at Sundance 2024, and I will be discussing, breaking it down, no spoilers, no crazy details, just a quick little recap of what I loved about this movie. Yes, we will be talking about the new LGBT film that just stormed Sundance. We're talking about Sebastian. Goodness, what a way for me to dive into Sundance this year. I won't be covering it in massive detail on this channel, but I will be able to kind of briefly drop some little nuggets like my feelings on Sebastian. As it just had its world premiere, I want to keep this fairly like a chill review. Don't give into major spoilers, any crazy details. Just give you an overview, kind of recap the story, and just tell you what I thought was so special, because this is going to be one of those like top 10 movies for me for quite some time this year. And look, we just started. January is about to end. We're entering February, hopefully some better movies, but Sebastian was just such a special movie because it captured very unique things. It talked about sex work, but it also talked about artists doing invasive research, something I really loved, and we'll talk about that more and what movie I compare this to as well. So yeah, this movie dove into some things, but I also love that it's a queer story that knows that it could dip into some trauma, some dramatic stuff, but it really avoids a lot of the tropes I normally see in these types of movies. Actually, about an hour into this movie, I felt like we would end the typical story there, but it kept going and I kept getting more, and then the movie was kind of commentating on it's not a super meta movie in the way you're thinking of like a Scream, but it's meta in its awareness, and the story inside of this commentates on so much that I was fearing this movie would dive into. Sebastian is such a special movie. I love what this director, I think Mikko Makela. My Finnish is not great, but Mikko, oh goodness, what a solid, crazy, well thought out, very like well directed, very sexy, a very personal movie that this was. I am so thrilled that Sebastian is about to take over this year. Like last year, I mean, All of Us Strangers, Passages, Saltburn, queer films had a presence last year. This year is going to be great. If Sebastian is a beacon of what's to come for 2024, we're going to be in for a good year. We follow a young artist named Max, played by Ruaridh Mollica. I don't know this actor. I'm not familiar with this director or this actor, but I am happy to be introduced to them now. So we follow Max as he is an artist. He mostly is working on poetry, working at some magazine, but he's trying to debut a brand new novel. Actually, his first ever novel. So what's he gonna do? What's the trendy thing he's talking about? Well, sex work, and he is focusing in on this character named Sebastian as he goes through his life as a sex worker. It's well-worn territory, especially within the queer realm, but he's trying to do this very interesting perspective on it. Well, the people making the book for him, like the publishers, his friends, his, co-workers, and his 9 to 5 job, they have no idea that he's moonlighting as Sebastian, the character. He is pretending to be a sex worker. He's going through the acts. He's doing what he needs to do, but that's not really his job. He's just truly, at first, thinks he's just doing it for the role. But does he like this? Does he like the world of Sebastian? He starts falling deeper into it, doing research, what he believes is research, but is he now just living a life? This movie has a lot of conversations it has. I loved following the character Max as he slowly starts to kind of slip into, is he Max? Is he Sebastian? Is Sebastian a better life for him to live? Or is Max the more stable life, what he should be doing? What does it mean to be a writer and not getting these jobs you want and then having to make your own life? As a writer, I struggle with this all the time, and what to do if like the website doesn't work out. What do you do? What happens when you don't get your dream gig? And what does that spiral you into doing other jobs to maybe satisfy you in other ways? This had a lot of conversation. I really, really enjoyed the Max character. He sort of reminded me of of Elizabeth, I think her name is, the Natalie Portman character in May December. She is an actress going to do research for a role and kind of invades a life. And that's what we're seeing with the Max character. As he's preparing the book's character, Sebastian, he's living the life. He's kind of doing the jobs and on the hookup websites and selling himself off to what usually is older men. And my goodness, it's like, bro, this is kind of not great to do. And he's journaling these very real things, but putting it through a different perspective. And is that fair to the Johns that he's meeting to kind of use their stories for his own gain? Is that fine to do? Is this just what artists do to research? The conversations that were going through my mind, the feelings, the morality, the gray zones that this movie presents, it's so refreshing. It's so different. It really, really made me happy to get a story like this. Again, especially after May December, where I loved the Natalie Portman character, but she's only a fraction of that, trio characters that we need to follow here. Following Max, following his research, I'm like, would I do this? I've put myself into this character. That means, me being able to really transform and put myself into the mind of Max. It's good directing, good writing, and good acting, and that's all on display in this movie. For once, I feel like we have an LGBT story worth telling. I love and think every story is valid and everyone should be doing what they need to be doing. And, from Bottoms to, Red, White, and Royal Blue, movies I loved last year. But what is the details? What are we saying? What are we doing? What's the perspectives? I thought this was fresh, unique. I thought it avoided so much of the queer trauma that we see in stories, but it was real. It definitely didn't try to make a sugar-coated, nice, easygoing story, but it wasn't a direct coming out story. It wasn't just someone getting gay bashed. It wasn't even truly a sad love story like a Brokeback Mountain. It was this kid exploring his life, finding out who he is. It's a coming of age story. It's a story about artists doing invasive research. It's truly a unique film. It's not like groundbreaking, it's not experimental, but the perspectives, the story, what we're trying to say, it all just feels so different for me. And I was really excited to see what Sebastian was offering up. It's truly one of the better movies I've seen out of any Sundance lineup, out of any year. It's really happy to see a movie this early on that I'm like, goodness, we're in for it. If we're going to be exploring things like we did with Sebastian here, I am excited for what this year has to bring. And I'm really hoping to see more filmmakers, more LGBT stories really go around this route and try to take what we know as a story, twist it up, do it. We don't need to shock us for shock's sake, but we also need to twist up the stories. We've seen them. Oh, is this a coming of age story about a young kid coming out to his parents? Okay, we've seen that. Give me more. Like, this is the more. All right, everyone, that was it for my review of Sebastian, part of this year's 2024 lineup, and I think it's going to be one of those indie queer films that really starts the conversation throughout the year. If you have the chance to see it at the world premiere, what did you think? If you're part of Sundance this year, let me know all the movies that are worth checking out. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel if you did enjoy this video, and make sure you guys give me a thumbs up, all that jazz, because I love talking with you. I promised you guys who follow my channel, this year is filled with queer content, horror movies, LGBT, there's just so much we're doing this year, and this is just the start of it. So thank you all for joining me. Make sure you're subscribed for this journey, and let's talk about Sebastian and movies just like this right down below.